So in this session, we will start with the file handling, like how we can handle files, how we can open the files, how we can close files, how we can handle files with the help of Python. Okay, the files which are in the operating system. Secondly, we will discuss about the try and except block. Okay, for handling the errors. And third, we will discuss about classes and objects. So this is our plan of attack for today. So, so let me open the file. Okay. So file handling is an important part in the Python. It is like how we can open file, how we can close file, how we can read any file, how we can make changes in the file with the help of Python. Let's say I have some files in my operating system. So now I wanted to open the file with the help of Python. Now file can be anything. It can be any file, like any TST file, any Python file, any other language file, any image file, etc. It can be any file. The main thing is how we can open file which are in the operating system and how we can perform operations with the help of that file. And what are the operations? We can perform operations like creating files. We can create files, we can read files, we can update files, and we can delete files. These are the operations we can perform. And these operations are known as CRUD operations, which is create, read, update, and delete. These are the main operations which you perform in any file operation, whether it is in the Python or it is in the SQL database or in any language. This is like the main operations we can perform with the files. So in the file handling, we have some key elements. First is how we can read files. If we wanted to read file, then we have to put parameters R. If we want to append file, then we can use A. If we want to write into any file, then we can use W. And if we wanted to like check if any file exists or not, then we can use X. If file exists, then the error will throw that the files already exist. If not, then with the help of X, we can create any file. In addition, we can open file in the two methods, or we can say in the two mode. First is test mode, which is default mode. Test is like simple test. Let's say you are reading any file, you are reading any TST file, you are reading any, let's say Python file, you are reading any C file or any file that is in the test format, a simple format. But whenever you are opening any binary files like any images, any PPTs, any other file, then we can use B for binary. So whenever we are opening any file which is in the default format like test, Python file, or any other language file which you can read in the simple test, that is in the test format. And whenever we are opening any image, any PPT or anything, then we can use B for binary. So test is like a default mode. How we can open file in the Python with the help of open function. Okay, open takes two parameters. First, parameter like what kind of operation we wanted to perform. We wanted to perform either reading or appending or writing or creating file. So these are the four operations we can perform. And second, it will take what kind of file you are opening. Is it a test file or is it a binary file? So these are the two parameters takes by the open function. The file name, which is the file name which we wanted to open, the mode where we wanted like what kind of operation we wanted to perform, and secondly, what kind of file it is. It is a test file or it is any binary image we can say, or any PPT, etc. Okay, so let's see how we can open any file. So here, let me save this file first. So I'm saving this file on my desktop. Okay, so let's say file name is file underscore handling dot py. So this is my file. So now how I can open the file. So here I can use F equal open. Now name of the file I wanted to open. So let's see what we can do. We can create a file here, IMT file. Okay. So let's say I'm creating a new file here, a simple test file. File name is, let's say test.txt. Okay. Now in this file, I just wanted to write something. So here I can write something. Let's say hello world. Okay. So this is my simple tst file. Inside this tst file, I have this hello world. Okay. Now what I can do, I can open this file inside my Python and I can read the contents of the file. For example, I have this file. I can name this file. Let's say the name of my file is test.txt. Okay. Now I just wanted to read file. Okay, I just wanted to read file. So I will use R here, R for read. Then this is for opening any file. If I run this file, you will notice no output. Okay, because we have to print the output of this file. See, whenever we are using a opening here, open means it has open your file. Okay, it is just opening the file. Now opening the file is not enough. You have to read something. So here I can read something. I can use print f dot read. Okay, if I run this, you will notice hello world. This hello world is inside my tst file. If I write something, let's say hello world, enter. This is file handling. Okay, let me save it. Now, if I run this file again, you will notice, hello world, this is file handling. So whatever I am writing in the file, it is executing here. Now, what is the purpose of file handling? Like, why are we handling the files? Why are we performing the operations with the file? Let's say you have some files and you wanted to read contents from that file into your Python program, or you wanted to write something. Let's say you are creating any software which takes any information from the user and print it in the form of any file or provide any file. So in that case, you are taking input from the user, writing into any file and giving to the user. So we have many operations which we can perform with the help of file whenever we are creating any software. Let's say you are creating any software for, let's say, a kind of a malware, for example. Okay, you are creating any malware, and let's say that malware will take, let's say, a screenshot of the victim machine. Now you wanted to share that screenshot to the attacker. Okay, like to your own email address because you are the attacker only. So in that case, you will open that screenshot and share it with the help of mail address. So that is another example of file handling. Like we have many examples in the file handling. The main purpose is we can perform operations with the help of file. Like we can read file, we can append into any file, we can write into any file, and we can create file, and we can delete files. So we can perform these four operations. And with that, with these operations, we can do anything. Okay. So that is like the main purpose of using file handling in the Python. Okay, so this is how we can open. Opening file is not enough. Now reading file is also important. So in the first line, I have created a variable f equal. Here I'm opening using open, and the name of my file. This is name of my file I wanted to open. And second, what kind of operation I wanted to perform. I wanted to read file. That is why I have put R here. Okay, for reading. And then I am printing f is this one, dot read. Okay, read is another function. And then if I run this one, you will notice whatever the contents in the file, which is this file, it is printed here. Okay. So that is like the main purpose of reading file. Let's say your file is in a different location. My file is in the same location as I am on desktop. Let's say my file, this file is in different location. Let's say I'm putting this file inside, let's say any other, let's create any folder here. Okay. So here, let's say folder name is new folder. or let's say, let me change the name of the test. Okay, now I am putting my file inside this folder. Okay, now I have this file inside this folder. Now let's say I wanted to read file. So if I run this one, you will see an error here. Why error? Because no such file or directory test.txt. So the file we are trying to read is not in this location on desktop. Okay, because the file is in this folder. It is in a different location. So that is why we cannot read file which is on the desktop. Okay, because my file, this Python file, which I am using here, is on desktop, and the file I am trying to read, that should be on the desktop, but that is not on desktop. So what we can do, we can apply the location of that file. Okay, so what we can do, we can open that folder, we can right click on that file, and we can click on properties. And then we can copy the path of that particular location, like of that particular file. So we can copy this location and we can paste this as it is here. And then slash. And here we have to use double slash. Okay, double backlash. Because double backlash means single backlash. And then this is the location where my file is located. And this is the name of my file. If I save it, you will see no error here. Okay. Because now my file is moved in different location. And for reading files in different location, I have to put the entire path. Let's say your file is in any other location, then you have to enter the entire path. Okay, that is important. Otherwise, you cannot read your file. Is it clear this much? Any questions?
Yes, teacher. No question.
So let's say I have this file, which is hello world. Let's say I wanted to read first 5 characters of my file, which is hello. So I can put here number here, like 5 here. And if I run this one, you will notice hello only. If I put 7 here, 5, then you will see hello, space is also countable, and then W, which is here we have this 5, space 6, and then W is 7, like this one, this much. So you can also mention how many characters you wanted to read in your file. First is we have this read. Second, we have another function which is read lines. If I print here f dot read lines. Okay. Here you can also put number of characters only. If I run this one, you will see hello world. So this is the first line we are reading. If I put here, let's read lines. Okay, now you can see we have this entire lines. So now what is the difference in the read lines and read? So we have these 3 features, which is f dot read line. If I maybe I can put 2 here. Let's see. See, so we have these 3 features, which is performing the same operation, reading files. But there's a difference here. In the read, we are actually reading files. But whenever we are reading in the files with the help of read, we are reading with the help of, or we can see all the contents are the one string. Okay, for example, if I run this one first, read here, simple read. Okay, and if I remove this 7 here for now, and if I run this one, you will notice we have this hello world, and then we have this is a file handling. So we are having everything as it is. Now here, if you notice, hello world, and then this is a file handling. This is all in one string. This is entirely a one string, not a different string, which means hello world, new line, and then this is file handling. These are all one string. So whenever you are reading any file with the help of read, the read function will combine all your contents in the one string. Okay, so it will combine all your everything. Like let's say you have 50 lines, you have 100 lines. So the read function will combine all your lines in one single string like this one. Okay, but this is read. Then we have this one, which is read lines. This is important. So read lines, it will put contents in separate strings. Okay, in the form of list. If I run this one, you will notice hello world is a one string and this slash n is new line, because you can see there's a new line, hello world. After hello world, I have entered this is file handling in the new line. So this is in the new line. So slash n is for the new line, and then this is file handling. So hello world is one string. This is file handling is second string. Let's see if I'm writing something else. Let's say something else. Now this is my third string. If I run this one, you will notice if so now let's write something else. Okay. Now if I run this one, so you will notice hello world in one line as a one string. This is file handling as a second string, and something else is a third string. But if I comment this out, which is simple read, so simple read will read everything in a one string. This is one string. Okay, not a separate strings. So if you make changes in the one string, then all the you're making the changes in all the strings. So that is why read is like not preferable. It depends on the scenario. So read lines will read your lines as per the different string. And here also you can put number of characters. Let's say 7. So now you can see hello world. So this is like it is providing, it is counting up to here. Okay, like here. So now this is reading line by line. Read lines will read line by line. If I put here, let's say 10. Okay, so you can see again hello world. What is the 7, 8, 9, 10? Let me put 12 here. If I put 12, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's put 15 here. So you will see second line. So here we are not, you can see we are not indexing, or we are not slicing on the basis of characters. We are slicing on the basis of line by line. So read line will read your line by line. So this is my first line and this is my first string. This is my second line. This is my second string. And I have put 15 here. 15 means this is hello is 6, 7, okay, 8, 9, 10, 11. So this hello world is 11 length. Then after 11, we have this 12 here, T, 13 here, 14 here, and 15 here. So when I move in the next line, it is providing me the entire line. Okay, instead of providing me the character by character, it is providing the entire line. Okay, if I put here, let's say 35, you will notice the third line, which is something else. Because 35 comes somewhere here in the middle of something else. So that is why it is printing the entire line. So read lines will also read line by line. You cannot slice on the basis of character. You can slice on the basis of lines. But in the read, you can slice on the basis of string, on the basis of characters. Let's say 7 or 8. If I run this one, you will notice hello space WO, which is hello space WO. So here we are slicing on the basis of characters, because here everything is a one string. But in the read lines, everything is a single string. Sorry, everything is separate string, which is each line contains one string. This is first line, second line, third line, and so on. So that is like the benefit of using read lines. So read lines and read line, there's a difference. In the read line, we can read one line at a time. In the read lines, we can read multiple lines at a time. That is a difference. So mainly we use read and read lines. Okay. Is it clear the difference? Any questions?
Yes, teacher, clear.
Okay. Now we can also, let me copy this part. And we can also use the loop for printing all the characters of a file. We can use for I in F and we can print I. So whatever is there in the F, print it. Okay. So you will notice, hello world, there's a new line. Okay, because here we have this new line. This is a file handling. Then we have this new line here and then something else. So
mm,
this loop will run on your file, means on this file, and it will print line by line. Okay, this is first line, second line, third line. So here we are running loop on the basis of lines, not characters. Okay, so we can also use none. Oh, sorry. We can also use for loop. We can also use while loop, but while loop is not efficient in this case. Then there's one more concept, which is closing file. We are opening file. Okay, we are reading files, but we are not closing files. So closing file is very important. Closing files are very important. Why? Okay. See, whenever we are opening file, we are opening in the memory. Okay, in the system memory. Then we are reading files. So now we are putting the contents in the memory, in the RAM. So whenever you're reading files with the help of any other application or any other software, let's say Python. Python is another, we can say a third party application we are using in our file. So whenever you are not closing file, your contents will not save first. Let's say you are writing into any file. You are writing any file. So if you not close it, your contents will not save.
mhm,
Secondly, there's a chance of file corruption. Okay,
mm,
your file may corrupt with the help of this particular, if you not close your file. So that is why closing file is very important as opening file. So how we can close file? So here, let me read any file. Let me read. We are reading files. After reading, we can use f.close. This is for closing files. Okay. So here it is a good practice to close the file after use. Otherwise, there's a chance that your file may corrupt. Okay, there's a chance your file may throw some error till later on. There's a chance that your contents will not save whenever you're making changes with the help of Python. That is why closing the file is very important. Okay, now this is about reading and closing. Let's say I just wanted to write file. Okay, I just wanted to write into any file. Let's say I wanted to add another line in my file. Okay, so what I can do, I can just comment these out and we can copy this part. Okay, now I'm opening file. Now, whenever you are opening file, you have to decide what kind of operation you are performing whenever you are opening any file. Now, here I am opening file as for writing into any file. Okay, for writing into any file. Now, I can write here. I can use f.write. I just wanted to write something. Let's say I just wanted to write Python is a programming language. Okay, and before writing, see, this is the contents in my file, in my test file. Hello world, this is file handling and something else. But now I am
mhm,
writing this into, I'm writing this Python is a programming language into the same file. Okay, now I am opening file, writing file. Now closing file is important. So we can close it. When I close it, you will see no output because we are not reading file, we are writing file. You will see no output here. If I run this file, here you will see no output. But when I open this file again from here, you will see Python is a programming language. Previously, we had some contents like hello world, this is file and handling and something else. And so write method overrides your contents and write a new line. That is write function. So what is the write function? It will overwrite. It will overwrite the previous content. Okay, which is it will remove the previous part and update the new part, which is this line. Let me show you again. Let's say I'm just writing something else. Now in my current file, Python is a programming language. This is written here. If let's say I just wanted to add another line. Let's say I just wanted to add any other line. Let's say Python. Let's write about C++ is a high level language. Now I'm writing this one. Okay, and make note of Python is a programming language. Now, if I run this one, there's no output, no error. But if I run this file again, you will see C++ is a high level language, which means whatever is previously written, it will overwrite with the current line, which is the current contents. You can write a paragraph, you can write a whole book with the help of this function. There's no limit. You can write a single line, you can write a single character, you can write a whole of paragraphs or multiple paragraphs. Okay, but write function will overwrite your file. Now, if you want to read your file, then how you can read? You have to open it again because you're closing file. If I write here f.read here, and if I print this part, you will see an error here. Why? Let me show you. See, there's an error. Input output operation on closed file. So we are performing read method on the closed file. We have opened the file, we are writing file, and we're closing file. So if I want to read again, I have to open it again. So I have to copy this part again and paste it here. Then I can read the contents and then I can again close it. F.close. Okay. And here you can see something is wrong here. Not readable. Why? Okay. I have to comment this out first. Then I can run this. Instead of not readable.
About save it first, teacher.
I think I
Right.
can run
And
this again.
I think the printf,
Sorry.
is a
I have to put R here. R.
read, yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm writing. I'm reading file. So I have to put R here. That is the error.
Mhm.
Okay.
There you go.
There's no output. Let me check my file here. File is empty here. So what we can do, we can simply comment this out and then we can try to read again. So now we are opening file, we are writing file, we are closing, and then we are opening again, and then we are reading, and then we are closing. That is
Mhm.
the flow of it. C++ is a high level language. Even we can see here. If I
Mm.
open this file again, you see C++ is a high level language. Which means whenever we are writing file, we have to put right here, and then we have to write here, and then we have to close it. If we want to read, then we have to open file again, and then read, and then close it again. That is the flow. Now, this is right. Whenever we want to write something, it is overwriting my contents. It is removing my previous contents and adding the new contents. What if I want to add new line, but by not removing the previous content? In that case, I can use append method. This append method. Append is mainly for adding a new line at the last of your file. So let's say I just copy this entire thing here and then just copy and read. Now here I can write here f.open. I will just open file first and then in place of w I will put a here, which is append. And then let's say I just wanted to write not here append. Okay. I think append is not taking my user. I think we have to use right here only. Right. Then let's say I just wanted to write here that Python is also a high level language. So now I'm opening file, but in this case, I'm appending file using a here. And then I'm writing into the file, which is Python is also a high level English, and then closing it again, and then opening file again, reading it and closing it again. And if I run this one, you can see Python C++ is a high level English. This is my previous content. And I have added Python is also a high level language. If I open this file also, you will see C++ is a high level language. And after that, where this Python is also a high level language, which means appending at the end of your file. If I want to add a new line, then I can put here /n, which is I want to add in a new line. Let's say I just want to write here, let's say Java is also a high level language. If I run this again, you will notice first C++ is a high level language, then Python is a high level language, and then Java is also a high level language. But you can see Java is coming in the new line. If I open this file, and you can see here, Java is coming in new line. Java is also a high level language. It is coming in a new line because I have put escape secrets, which is /n, /n. So this will add your contents in the new line. So here, this is how we can append. So append will add new line, new, let's say, content at the end of the previous lines. Okay. And then we are closing, and then we are opening, and then we are writing. Sorry, we are reading, and then we are closing again. This is the flow. Okay. Now, this one more thing. This is about reading, appending, writing. Let's say, let me remove this one. Let's say I'm opening a file again. F.open. F equal open. Now I just wanted to name my file. Let's say my name of my file is test1.txt. Okay, comma. I am writing into this file. Okay, I'm writing. And I am writing, let's say, hello world. And then I'm closing the file. Now you will notice one more thing. Now I'm reading a file which doesn't exist. If I open my desktop, here I have no file name test1.txt. Okay, I have no file here naming test1.txt. So what I am doing, I am opening that file which is not exist in my operating system, and I am performing the operation right here. And then I am writing something hello world, and then I am closing again. So if I run this one, you will see no error here because, and you can see the file here, which is test1.txt contains hello world, which means if the file doesn't exist, the W method will create your file also. Okay, so here I can write a note. If any file doesn't exist in the operating system, then write method will create the file automatically. And then write into the file. Okay, so we can put a comment here. So if the file doesn't exist in the operating system, then this method W will create file and then write file. But this will not save in the append. Append for using append, the file must exist. Otherwise, the append will throw the error. For example, if I put here 2 here, okay, and if I run this one, you can see no error. This means, okay, so append is also creating a file. So in the previous version of Python, append throws the error because if the file doesn't exist, the append throws the error. But in the new version of Python, maybe the current version, append also creating files. So here I can write if any file doesn't exist in the operating system, then W and A method, which is write and append method, will create file first and then write into the file. Okay, so make sure that whatever you are writing, if your file doesn't exist, then you can simply create a file with the help of this one and you can write directly. And if the file exists, then it will append into any file. Okay, so that is the flow of the code. Is it clear?
Yes, teacher.
Okay. Now, same as we can, let's say we can create file. Okay. But creating file is now not that much important because we can create automatically using A or W. But we can see it. For creating file, let's say you want to create any file, then we can use file name. Let's say file name is new file.txt. You can create any file, like you can create Python file, you can create C++ file, any file. Just change the extension here. And then you wanted to create file. You can use X here. Simple. And then we can close file. So this will create a file name new file.txt in the same directory where we are in. Okay, we are on desktop. So it will create file on desktop only. If I run this one, you can see no error. And on desktop, you can see another file, which is new file.txt. This one. So X will also create your file. And then if you want to write something, then you can write using append method or any other method, write, and then you can close file again. And if you want to read files, then you can open your file again and then read and then close again. Now here you can see closing file is very important. And each time we are performing any single operation, we are closing it again and again. And that is like a kind of repetitive task. So what we can do, we can change the syntax here. We can use an advanced syntax, which means we can close file, we can open file, and it will automatically closed after performing the operation. That we can do. And we can do with the help of with. With is a keyword, and with the help of with keyword, we can open file, and that file will be automatically closed without writing this f.close. Okay, how we can use? We can use with. Let's say we can use open, and we can mention the file name. Let's say file name is test1.txt. With open this file as f. Okay, with open and this file name and test. And here I can perform any operation. Let's say I just wanted to read file, so I can put here R for read. And I can read file, which is print f.read. Now this function, this with keyword, will automatically close the file after use. That is the benefit of using with keyword. If you are not using with, then f.close is important. But if you are using with keyword, it is not compulsory to write f.close. If I run this one, you will see hello world, which is in my test1.txt. So we are reading. You can write also, you can read also, you can append also, you can create also. The main thing is it is not compulsory to every time write f.close. Okay, that is the benefit of using with. With, open your file here, name of your file, and what kind of operation you want to perform, that method here as f. F is a keyword here. For example, we are using f here, and then name of the file, sorry, open name of the file, and then the method here. And then we are closing it again. But here we can simply open file. Okay, and we can write whatever the operation we wanted to perform, we can perform, and then we can close the file. So this will automatically close your file without writing f.close. So this is like a additional syntax. So it's your choice. You can use this one also, or you can use this one also. But if you're using the traditional approach, so this will, here you have to write f.close every time you're opening your file. But with this one, you are just simply writing, opening your file, and then performing the operation. Okay. Is it clear?
Yes, teacher.
Okay. Now let's say you wanted to delete any file. So for deleting file, you have to import a module. Okay. Now what is module here? That we will discuss in detail. So let's say I just wanted to delete any file. So we can put import OS. OS for operating system. Now here I am just importing a library or we can say a module, which is operating system. This module, which is OS, which is operating system, will help you to perform operating system commands with the help of Python. Okay. So I think you've used CMD, right? CMD. In the CMD, we can create files. Okay, you know Linux commands?
Yes, a little bit, teacher. Yes, some commands.
Yeah. Same as you also know the Windows commands, like you can create file, you can list files, and so
Correct.
on. There are like many commands here. So what we can do, we can perform the same commands, we can type the same commands with the help of Python by importing the operating system. Operating system is like giving you the privilege to apply the commands with the help of Python. Okay. So here I'm importing the OS, and it is important. And what is OS or what is module, that we will discuss later. Now let's say I
Mm-hmm.
just wanted to remove this file, which is test1.txt. Let me close it first. So here I can write here os.remove, and the file name you wanted to remove. I just wanted to remove test1.txt. Simple. If I run this one, let me print a message here also, or just you can see there's no error, and here you can see there's no file test1.txt. It has removed. Same as let's say I just wanted to remove this new file.txt. So I can mention the name here, which is new file.txt, and then this will remove my new file.txt. Okay, now let's say your file is in the different location. Let's say this file. So you can also remove this file by putting the entire location. And here, let's say we can copy this path. Let's say I just wanted to remove this file. So I can put the entire location of that file and then name of the file I just wanted to remove. And I can run this one. No error here. And here you can see file is removed from here. So this is how we can simply delete files. Same as we can do any number of operation. We can delete files. Let me show you this part. See, let's say here we have this OS file. There's a library. Okay. So you can see it is a module here. This is not a module. I just need a official documentation now. Yeah. So these are the operation you can run. Like you can check for the environment variables. You can check for this is for the environment variables bytes. You can change the directory. You can do something else. You can get CWD. You can get the current working directory. And there's like lots of option here. You can get UID. Like what are the commands, whatever the commands we can run in the CMD, the same commands we can run in the Python. So that is like the privilege of using the operating system. It is mainly important whenever you are creating any malware, because whenever you are creating any malware, in that case, you want to automate your operating system, the victim operating system. Like if any user run any Python file, so they're like a bunch of commands you can put in your Python file, and that will run automatically. So
Oh,
that is like an operating system. It is very powerful module. Okay, what is
so
module?
so
We will
teacher,
discuss that. Yeah.
so eventually, teacher, we can use the Python in the automation of the in the configuration of the network, huh? Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Let's say
teacher.
there's a task you are using on, let's say there's a task you are performing on a daily basis, like a repetitive task. Then you can run a
Repeat.
Python script for that. Okay,
Yes, teacher.
to just avoid your repeatable task.
Okay.
So this is how you can remove file. You can also rename files. Okay, like for example, let's say we have this file test2.txt. So let's say I just wanted to rename. So I can put here os.rename. So rename takes two parameters. Okay, like the previous file name and your current and your change file name. Let's say my file name is this one. I just wanted to change to new test.txt. Okay, let's run this one. Okay, there's no error here. And you can see your file name has changed. Now, new file name is new test.txt. So you can also rename your file. So this is your previous file name you wanted to change and your new file name you wanted to change. Okay. So this is how we can rename, we can remove, and we can do any number of operation with the help of operating system library. Okay, that we will discuss later, like what kind of operation we can perform. It is just an introduction. So even we can run a if condition here. Let's say we can write here check if any file exists or not. Let's say we are removing any file which doesn't exist. Okay, so here we can use this syntax here. Print os.path exist. And we are checking if this file exists or not. So let's see if I run this one.
Error.
True. So this
True.
file exists. If I put here test 1, so you will see false here. Okay, which means this file doesn't exist. So now what we can do, we can create a function. Sorry, we can create a simple if-else statement, and we can remove a file if it exists, and we can throw a print statement if doesn't. So we can write here, let's say if, and we can copy this part. So here we are checking if this file exists, then we can delete it, os.remove. Else we can write here print file doesn't exist. So if I run this one, you will see the file. So the file doesn't exist because there's no file. Now let's say I just wanted to remove this file, new test.txt. So I can change file name here, new file. What is the name of new test? New test. Okay, if this file exists, then simply remove it, which is new test.txt. If not, then print this line. So if I run this one, you will see no error here because file exists and it is removed from here. You can see. But if I run this again, then you will see file doesn't exist because we have removed the file. Okay. We have already removed the file. So we can also check if the file exists or not with the help of this statement. And if it is exist, then remove it. If not, then don't remove it. Same as we can also delete any folder with the help of operating system library like os.rmdir, remove directory. Let's say I just wanted to remove this folder test. So I can put here simple text. So if I run this one, you will see no error and the directory has been removed. So this is how we can remove the directory. Is it clear this much?
Yes, teacher, clear.
Now let's take a recap what we have discussed up to here. So we have discussed about file handling, how we can open file, how we can close file, how we can read file, how we can append file, how we can write file, and how we can create files. Then we have discussed about how we can run loop with the help of file, then how we can close file, then how we can automatically close file with the help of with keyword, how we can create file, how we can perform, how we can import operating system library. It is an inbuilt library. And how we can remove files, how we can check if file exists or not, and how we can delete folders. Okay, there's one more thing I can add here that is not there in this file. If this is for automatically close file. So with that, we can use with open, and we can mention the file name here, comma, method, any method sf, and then we can print f.read. If you want to write, you can use write here, you can use read here, you can use append here, and so on. Okay. So if you want to automatically close file, you can use with keyword. It is like an advanced method. Okay,
Mhm.
otherwise you can simply keep on writing f.close. It is also good, but while using with keyword, you will reduce the number of lines. And that is the main goal of a programmer. You have to reduce the number of lines.
Mhm.
Okay. So any questions up to here?
No, teacher.
Okay. So I will share some questions on this particular
Mhm.
file operations. Now we can jump to the classes and objects, which are again very important. Classes and objects are the, yeah. So classes and objects are the very important concept in the Python. So Python is an object-oriented programming language. So let me tell you, just a second. Let me open that file. Okay. So in the Python, we say that Python is an object-oriented programming language, and Python is also procedural programming language. So we have two terms here, which is first, OOPS, which is object-oriented programming language. And second concept is known as procedural. Uh, Now, what is the difference in object-oriented and procedural? See, the method which we were using up to now, that is, we are using the procedural programming language, which means what we were doing previously, we were writing like this one. We are writing any kind of code. Let's say I'm writing a for loop. Okay, I'm writing a for loop, simple for loop. Now, what is procedural programming language? It is like a language you are writing code line by line. Okay, you are writing a code line by line, and that code will run one after another. That is like you are writing a code in the form of traditional programming language. Okay, let me show you an example. If I'm not clear, there's a very good documentation on procedure versus tips. See, yeah. In the procedural, the program is divided into small parts called functions. Okay, and in the operating system, in the object-oriented programming, the program is divided into small parts called objects. That is the main difference. And in the procedural, we are using from top to down approach. And in the object-oriented programming, we will use bottom-up approach. Okay, so let me copy this for the reference and paste it here. See, what is the difference in the procedural? Let's say I'm just creating a function, a simple function, let's say for a def function, which will take two parameters, which is a and b, and it will return a plus b, like this. This is a function. So how a function works? Whenever we are using Python or up to here, whatever we are using an approach known as top to bottom approach. Okay. And what is top to bottom approach? It is like the code flow. It is all up to the code flow. The code is flowing from top to bottom. Like for example, in the previous example only, we are running code from top to bottom. First this line, then second this line, and then third this line. Then this line, this line, this line, and then this line, and then this line. And this is a top to bottom approach, one after another. That is a procedural programming language. And in the procedural, we are dividing the entire Python part, Python code into small functions. Okay, this is my one function. Let's say I'm creating another function, def function 1. Let's say this function again takes some other parameter x, y, and do some other operations. Let's say any kind of operation. So this is another function. So this is a procedural programming language, a very traditional approach of solving any kind of problem, or we can say a very basic approach. So whatever we are doing till now, it is a basic approach or a traditional approach. And it is important because it is a fundamental part of your programming. It will create a base of your or foundation of your knowledge. Okay. But what we are going to study is an advanced approach, which is known as object-oriented programming language. It is approach which flow from bottom to top. That we will see with the help of one example. But for now, it will follow bottom to top approach, and it is divided into small parts known as objects. Now, what are classes and what are objects first? What are classes and what are objects? See, classes are, we can say, they are like the blueprint of your object. Okay, so we can write they are like the blueprints. And objects are like the main thing you are going to use. For example, let's say you are any architecture, okay, and you are building any house, okay, or let's say apartment. So whenever you are building any apartment, you have to create a blueprint. That is very important for any architecture. Creating a blueprint for any house is important. So what an architecture will do, he or she will create a blueprint first, and that blueprint is known as classes in our language, in the programming language. And what is object? Now, by taking this blueprint, now an architecture will create the house on the basis of that blueprint, which means the architecture will access the house, or we can say start building the house on the basis of classes or on the basis of blueprints. That is known as objects. So objects are made on top of classes only. So we can say objects are the instance of the classes. That is known as objects. Okay, I hope I'm clear. Classes are like a blueprint. You are just creating a blueprint. That's it. Objects are like we're using that blueprint for accessing the element. For example, let's say in the blueprint, you have mentioned that I just wanted to create 2 rooms, 1 washroom. Let's say this is your blueprint. Now, whenever you start building your house, you will you will actually create your 2 rooms and 1 washroom. That is like a whole example. Same as in the programming in the Python, we are creating a classes, we are creating a blueprint. What kind of elements will present in my object? That is a blueprint. And then when I will come to access those objects or those, let's say, functions, I will do with the help of objects. Is it clear the difference in classes and objects? See, for
Teacher,
example,
can we have a sample, please?
yeah. See, classes in an object constructor or a blueprint for creating the objects. For example, here we have class. Class is my class. You can name it anything. My class is my name. And then x equal 5. Now, if I wanted to, let's say I'm just creating the same example, class. So for creating a class, you will use class here, class as a keyword here. And then your name of your class you wanted to put. Let's say my name of my class is house, or any name you can put. Okay, house. Now, what kind of elements you want to put? Let's say I just putting x equal 5. Let's say I'm just putting in my blueprint that I want 5 rooms. Okay, let's say I can put rooms equal 5. So this is my class. Now, this is known as variable. You know, rooms is a variable here. 5 is a value here. Okay, this is a simple variable we are creating. Now, what I can do, this is a class. If I run this code, you will see no output here, nothing here. Because class is like a blueprint. It will do nothing. It will just creating a blueprint. Now let's say I just wanted to access this rooms equal 5 variable here. How I can access? In that case, I will create a object here. Object means here I will use, let's say object name. Let's say my object name is object1 equal. Here you will use your name of your class, which is house. Okay, house. Now this is your object. Name of your object is object1. Okay. Now what I can do, I have to access this house, or we can say this x equal 5 with the help of this object. So I will print here object1 dot x. Sorry, dot rooms. Simple. But now if I run this one, you will notice 5 here. Okay. So now you can see this is an example. It is a very simple example. It is a class and it is a blueprint. It is doing nothing. It is just taking space in your program. It is doing nothing. So without objects, there's no value of the class. And without class, there's no object at all. Okay, you cannot create class object without class. Here I can write, we cannot create objects without class. And there's no value of the class without object. So there's no value of the class without objects. So they are linked together. So this is class, and let's say this is my house, and in my house I have 5 rooms. Okay, I just wanted to create a house which contains 5 rooms. This is my blueprint, a simple blueprint of the architecture. Now the architecture is now creating the house. For creating a house, I am creating an object. Object1. This is the name of my object. Now you are thinking that it is a variable. Object1 is a variable only. But it is, you are right. It is a variable only, object1. But this variable is containing the class. Let's say a equal 5, 4. This is a variable. Okay, and this is a variable. Object1 is a variable and a is a variable. They both are variable only. But what a contains? A contains a simple number 4. So we can say a is a simple variable. But object1 is a very special variable. And even not a variable, it is an object. It is storing a whole class, a whole blueprint. Okay, so it is storing a whole blueprint. That is why object1 is not a simple variable. It is a very special kind of variable which is known as object. So we can write here object1 is a very special kind of variable known as object. So object1, this one is my object actually. Okay, it is my object. And a is a variable only, which is, it is containing a simple number. That is why a is a variable. But this object is containing the house, which is this house, which is a class. It is a very simple example. In the later session, we will create a very complex class, a very complex blueprint. Then you will understand this simple variable is containing the entire class. That is why it is a very special variable that is known as object. And how you can access object? You have to use object and house and then parenthesis. And then now if I want to access any kind of element, this rules is known as method. Method, no, not method. I think it is known as parameter or argument. Let me check the name of that. Object methods are this one. Modify object properties. Just a second. Okay, sorry, yeah. It is known as properties actually. We can say properties or we can say arguments. We can say anything. But actually it is a variable. It is a variable. But inside, we are using this variable inside a class. Okay, you can say class and objects are the big D. Okay, it is like a big D. And whatever we are using inside the class, they have the special names. Okay, for example, rooms are known as arguments. Okay, maybe arguments, or I will confirm it by tomorrow what they are called. or we can
Yes.
simply search it. I'm just forgetting the name of that uh, variables are known as inside class. It's known as yeah, it is known as properties, as I said, properties.
Mm.
So these are the properties. Okay. So variables are known as properties inside a class. For example, and it is very relatable. You can think of you are creating a house. Inside a house, you have this rooms here. So you have 5 rooms. It is a property of your house. If I say, let's say color is, let's say, red. So inside your house, your house color is red, which means this is a property of your house, right? Color red is a property of your house, which is like identification of your house. That if your house is red color, it is a property. So these are variables only, but we are using these variables inside class. That is why they are known as properties. Same as if I create a function here, let's say depth. Let's say I'm creating a function. Function is function. Simple. That take nothing. Let's say uh nothing as a parameter. Okay. And if I run this one, now functions are known as methods. Now let me clear one more thing. We have this class. Inside class is a blueprint. Inside class, you are creating a variable, and that variable is known as properties of the class. Because that is a variable also. It is a variable, but we are using that variable inside a class. That is why it is known as properties. Secondly, whenever we are creating any function, a simple function inside the class, that function is no longer called function. That function is known as methods of the class. Okay, methods and properties. Remember these names. Whenever we are using inside the class. Let's say I'm creating another function here. Dev function. Okay, this is a function. Now this function is known as function only because it is outside of a class. But this function is inside of a class. That is why it is known as method. It is a special name. Okay, so we have this class. Inside class, we have this house. Okay, you can think of it as a house which contains 5 rooms, and color of the house should be red. These are my properties. I have defined my properties that I want a house of 5 rooms, a blueprint, and I just want my house to be of red color. Okay, that's it. And then I have created an object. Now, when the construction begin, the object will create object one and then house. So let's say this one is my builder here. This person, object one, will create my house. So he or she will take house as a blueprint. So that is why I'm feeding my blueprint to this object variable. And then this person will start creating the rooms first. And then this person will create, object one will create will color my house of red color. Okay, simple. If I run this one, you can see red color. Is it clear? The example and this concept?
Yes, teacher.
Okay, so here in the object-oriented programming language, it is like we are dividing the Python program into small parts known as objects. And these are the objects. Yes. These are the objects. Okay. And the object-oriented uses bottom-up approach. Okay. It uses bottom-up approach, which means here you can see whenever I will run this code, all these lines will be ignored. This all line will be ignored by the Python, which means my coding will start. My Python will see my code. It will start from this line number 94, line number 95, and then it will move to line number 85. So now you can see the flow of code. First, it is executing this line, then this line, and then the previous lines. So it is a bottom up approach. Okay, it is starting from the bottom and then moving to upside up. So that is why it is a bottom up approach. In the simple functions, we are following the top to bottom approach. But in the object oriented, we have this bottom up approach. First, this line will execute. When Python will run, it will ignore all these lines. These lines will not execute. It will start executing from this line, and then this line, and then this part of line, this part, and then this part first. Okay, and then it will run this part, and then this will run this part. Okay, color red, like this one. So it is like a bottom up approach, not a top to bottom approach. So that is why now what is the purpose of using objects? Like why are we using this complex topic, and why it is so advanced? See, previously we were using a simple approach, which is procedural programming language. We are creating a function, we are writing something. So the purpose of object and programming is, let me write something. Who is a good programmer? As I said, writing programs, or we can say writing the programs of coding, doing coding is not enough. How we are coding, how you are writing a code is very important. So if a program if a programmer is writing a code which takes less time to run and less space, then he or she is a good programmer. Which means if a programmer is writing a code which will take less space and less size, like less space and less time to run, that person is known as a good programmer. And that is very, very important. Let's say you are creating a program for your network only. Okay. Let's say you are writing a program for configuration of a network. Let's say you are writing some configuring code, let's say you are writing some few lines, let's say some commands or anything in the Python. And now your program is taking, let's say, 5 seconds to run. Which means, let's say you are writing a program to configure your firewalls, let's say. Okay, your firewalls. And that your program is taking 5 seconds to configure your firewalls. That is a very large delay here, which means you are taking 5 seconds to configure your firewalls. And let's say there's another programmer and he or she is taking, let's say 0.0, let's say 0.4 seconds, a very few seconds. Okay, to configure your firewalls. So who is a good programmer? That person who is taking less time to run the code or configure your firewalls. Why? Because let's say you have created a firewall and that is taking you're writing a code and that is taking 5 seconds to configure your firewall. And within that 5 seconds, let's say there's a let's say we can take up a scenario. Let's say there's an attacker attacking on your network. And within that 5 seconds, any attacker can send lots of packets in your network. Within 5 seconds, maybe the attacker can send millions of packets in your network. That is like known as DOS attack. Okay. So within 5 seconds, there are like a lot of things can happen within these 5 seconds. And after 5 seconds, you will finish configuring your firewall. That is a very large time, or we can say large delay. Okay. So that is why we are avoiding this one. And that is why this is the main purpose of using object-oriented programming language. First, it will reduce the time and it will reduce the space. Secondly, it will provide you flexibility. It will provide the flexibility. How?
Mm.
Let's say you are creating let's say you have some data types in Python, right? We have strings, we have numbers, we have list, we have set, dictionary, and tuples. These are the data types. Each and every data type contains some properties. Now, let's say you are creating any function or you are creating anything, let's say any program you are writing, and you need a special kind of data type. Or let's say you need a special kind of data type or function for your code. In that case, you can create one. You can create a data type. It is a very huge deal. You can create your own data type with the help of object-oriented programming language, and you can reuse your code. Okay, so it will provide the code reusability, and it is again easy to maintain easy to understand, and less time complexity, which means it will take very less time to execute the program. Same as less space complexity, which means it will take very less time to
Mhm.
less space in your program. Let's say you are running your Python program on top of any firewall or on top of any remote device, which contains very less space. Then in that case, Python and this concept, OOPS concept, is very important there. And it is easy to debug and it is easy to modify. Okay. So these are some features of using object-oriented programming language.
Mhm.
Okay. The main thing is you are just reducing the time, okay, and you're reducing the space. That is why we are using. And others are it is so flexible in nature. You can create any kind of program. Like that is why Python is my favorite language. You can do
Mhm.
any number of tasks, you can automate any kind of stuff, you can do anything
Mhm.
with the help of Python. And if you are using object oriented, then you have the whole power in your own hands. That is why object oriented are very important for the Python. Okay. And
Mhm.
it will provide you flexibility. You can reuse your code. It is very easy to maintain. You can modify it. It is easy to understand as well. It will reduce the time, the space, and it will easy to debug if there's any error. It is easy to modify. Is it clear? This much?
Yeah. Yes, teacher.
Why objects, OOPs are important?
Mhm.
Okay. So this is one example of OOPs. So here with this blueprint here up to here, and this is object. Inside classes, variables are known as properties and functions are known as methods. How we can
Yeah.
create an object? We can name object name, and then we can feed a class name, which is house in my case, and then parenthesis. And then if I want to access anything, I will use object name here, not class name. I will use object one and then rooms here. You can see dot rooms. If I want to access color, I will use object name first and dot color. You can think I'm just feeding my entire part to this object. So which means all these parts, rooms, colors, everything belong to my objects only. So that is why if I want to access the rooms, colors, or functions or methods, I have to use object one name. That is very important. Okay, if I want to call this function, so I will use object one name dot function name. Okay, like this one. I'm calling this method. So if I run this one, you will notice hello world. Sorry, hello. Just this hello world. Okay, and what is this self? We will discuss in a bit. Okay, so with this hello here. So whatever I want to access, I will use my object name dot whatever the I'm accessing, whatever the element I'm accessing. It can be rooms, it can be colors, it can be any function. And you can create any number of objects. You can create any number of properties and any number of functions. Let's say I'm creating another function here, depth function one, which will take again no parameter. Here I can print here. This is function. How I can access? I can just put the name of my object dot name of my function, or we can say method. If I run this one, you will notice this is function 2. Okay. Now, there's one more thing, that is, this is my first object. Now I just want to, let's say, let's take another example. Let's say I want to create a house. Okay. And I am hiring two architecture for my, not two architecture. I am hiring two builders. Okay. Means I am creating two houses.
Mhm.
I'm creating two houses, but one blueprint with the same blueprint. So this is my one blueprint. Now I can create multiple objects, which means multiple objects here. This is my object one. I can create another object here, object two, let's say. And I can also feed the same house to this same class to this particular object. So that is why we can see this code reusability. Like we can reuse the code with the help of while creating multiple objects. Now I can access again some other features. Like here I can access. So you will see 5 red again. You can change these like rooms here. Like you can change the uh, color. For example, let's say I just wanted to change colors. Let's say I can write object to dot rooms. Here I just wanted to create 10 rooms instead of 5. I just want to change my color of my second house, which is I just want to put blue. Okay. Now if I run this one, you will notice 5 and 10. There's something, sorry, I have to use object 2 here, right? Object 2. This is object 1, object 2. If I run this one, you will notice 10 and blue. So now you can see in the blueprint, I have decided that my basic color of my house is 5 rooms and red color of my house. So I have created a house here. I have hired a builder and he or she created my rooms, my color, which is red. And then I am accessing functions and function 1. Now, I just want to hire another builder, which I hire, which is object 2 is my another builder here. And I am feeding a house again, the same blueprint. But here, I just want 10 rooms. So I am changing the names here. You can see my value is 5, but I am changing the value here. And I am just simply changing the second value, like object 2 value, not object 1 value. Object 1 value remain 5, but object 2 value remain 10 because I have changed here. And then I am also changing the color red to blue, and then I'm running this one. So now you will notice 10 and blue. Previously it was 5 red. Okay, but now it is 10 and blue. So you can change the properties of your classes also in the objects. With the help of objects, you can change properties and you can change methods also. Same as you can create any number of objects. This is my third house. Okay, I just want, let me copy these. Now I just want, let's say, just 2 rooms. Okay, in my third house. And I just want a different color, let's say black. And this is my third house. Okay, and I can just run the object. So now you can see I have created 3 objects with a single class. That is why we can reuse the code again and again. Okay, you are not seeing the importance now, but I will show you like what is the importance of the actual importance when we will write the real code. When we will create a program, when we will create some softwares, you will see the real power of the objects and classes. These are just examples. Okay, just to explain. Okay, 2 and black you can say. So we can change. Now let's suppose there are like hundreds of properties here and hundreds of methods. So in that case, what you can do, you can simply you can feed your, and for each and every object, you want different properties or different value of your properties. Then simply create your objects, change the value of your properties, and then print it. Again, change the properties of your value of your properties and print it. Okay. Is it clear?
Yes, teacher. So very interesting this teacher. So this help for me to, practicing. I'm going to practice this very interesting for me to practice this in my work.
Yeah. So you will see later on we will create a whole program, a whole software in the networking
Yes.
field also. Okay, then there we will use objects and this classes. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so this is how we can create objects and classes. Let's take another example.
Mm-hmm.
This is one example. So now let's take a class. Now my class name is person. Okay. Now this person will create. Now here we have this one more concept, which is known as init function. So let me create it. So here I will use def underscore underscore init. Okay. So we have this function here. And here let's say I'm just using self as a keyword, and let's say name and age. Now here I'm using self dot name equal name and self dot age equal age. Okay. See, what is the purpose of this entire code? Okay, first I will create object here, object one, and here I'm calling the person. Person taking two parameter. Let's say person name is John, person age is 44, let's say. And now we are printing the object one dot name print object two dot age. Sorry, object one dot age. If I run this one, you will notice John and 44. Now, here we have this class and this class name here and this column here. Now here we have this def. This is again a method here, but it is a very special kind of method, or we can say function. How we create a function? Actually, we create using def, the function name, and then we take parameters like name and age, right? And then we will return value of name and age. This is the ordinary way of creating a function. But what is this init here? So here we have this underscore, two underscore init, again two underscore. Okay. Init is known as initializer. This init is known as initializer. Now, what is the purpose of initializer? See, in the previous programming, in the previous example, let's take another example for comparison. Okay. Let's say I'm creating another class. Let's say person 0. Just person 1, let's say. And here I'm just creating another function. Let's say def. Now this time a simple function. Let's say we can copy this part and we can paste here. Okay, a simple function which will take self, comma, and here we can simply use self.name, self.age. And this will, let's say print. Okay. And here, see, we have two classes. Something is wrong here. See, so we have this class, one class and second class. In the first class, we have this ordinary function. Okay, this ordinary function, or we can say method. But here we have this special function, which is a method here. Now, what is the purpose? Initializer is a function which will initialize any kind of value when you run your class. Okay, so let me show you the definition. So all classes have a function called initializer, init, which is always executed when the class is being initiated. So init is, you can think it is a very compulsory function. Okay, it is like a, let's say you are creating a class. Let's say you are creating again a house. And in your house, you want a compulsory one room. It is compulsory. You want a one room house. Then only it is called a house, right? Let's say you want a house of 10 rooms. But for the initialization, you are putting as a 1, which means whenever you are running your class, one room will automatically create it, or one room or any method will automatically run when you use initializer here. Initializer is a function which will always execute it when the class is being initiated, or we can say when the object call your class. That is the initializer. So use the initializer function to assign values to object properties or other operations that are necessary to do when the object is being created. For example, this example here. Here you can see that this class person. Now I just want that whatever the class contains, first I want the name and age of that person should be printed. Okay, I just want name and age. I just it doesn't matter what it contains. Okay, after that, I just want whenever my class initiate, it will automatically print name and age without putting extra efforts, you can think. So that is why I'm putting initializer. Initializer, it is like whenever we will run the class. Okay, whenever we will feed the class to the objects, it will automatically run John and 44. So initializer function is very important. It is like very important. Okay. So here you can see, let me remove this one. Here you will see we have this name. Okay, we have this name here and we have this age. It is taking two parameters. It is similar to your functions, but the difference is in place of function name, you are putting initializer. Why? Because you can see it is not compulsory to call this function. It is not compulsory. Okay, for example, if I show you this function, here I'm not using an initializer, I'm using a function. It is my function name and age. It is again taking name and age. Okay, for now, forget about this self here. It is taking two parameter name and age, and it is printing name and age like this one. Hello, my name is John and my age is this much. So here, if I run this one, see, here I am creating another object and this will take person as a class. Sorry, person one as a class. Now, you can see the difference here. In the first one, let me write this object 2 dot function, which will take two parameters, which is, let's say, John and 44. So these functions are same only. Sorry, these, let me reduce the size. These classes are same only. They are taking the name and age of the person. But the difference is, here you can notice I'm not using the initializer really. Here I'm using the function name. So this is my function name, the self parameter. Forget about self for now. We have this name and age. Name and age are my parameters. And then I'm printing, hello, my name is this much and my age is this much. But here, when I feed my class to my object, I'm calling my functions. You can say object to dot function. I'm calling my function here, right? This is the function call. This is the function call. But in the second example, where I use the initializer, in the initializer, I'm not calling the function at all. You can see there's no function calling at all because this initializer will automatically execute, automatically called when you run it. So we can write it is automatically called when we run it. Simply when I feeding my person, my class to the object, I'm just using object name and object class, sorry, object age here without calling my function. Okay, in this here I'm calling my function, but here I'm not calling at all. And here you can see name and age is coming inside my person class only. In the person, I am not taking any parameter. I'm taking my parameter here, which is name and class, name and age. So I'm giving the value of name and age inside the person class, which is name is John and age is 44. While in my previous example, I am providing the arguments, which is John and 44, when calling my function, not in the person one class. So in this function, it is compulsory to call this function. Otherwise, this name and age will not execute. See, if I show you, if I remove this line and if I print like this one, object 2 dot name and object. See, this will not going to run. If I run this one, you will see there's an error here. Person 1, which is this class, has no attribute name because name is not defined. Okay, name is not defined because name has no value at all. We have to call the function first and then we can run this line. So in the simple method, in the simple function, we have to call the function first. But whenever we are using initialization, it is very important. It is automatically execute without calling it. So that is why it is name is initializer. It will automatically initiate whenever you are calling your class. And that is why I'm providing the value John in the class itself, not when calling the function, because calling the function is not important at all here. We cannot call it. Like we cannot write like this one, that object 1 dot underscore init. We cannot call it. It will throw the error. That is why we are simply using person, name of a class, and feeding the name and age, and then printing it here as it is. Okay. So John 44. So initialization is very important. So make sure your concept is clear up to here. Any questions in the initialization?
No, teacher.
Then we have this one, self here. Now, what is the self here? When we create an ordinary function like this one, it will take two parameters, name and age. But here, we have this name here and age here, okay. But what is the self here? Same as with self here, same as with the self dot name here and age here. What is this? See, here in the simple functions, we simply take name and age. But whenever we are creating the classes, self parameter is what very important. Why? Let me show you the definition of self first. See, the word self is used to represent the instance of the class. By using the self keyword, we access the attributes and methods of the class in Python. For example, you can think of a copy. Let's say we have this blueprint here, okay, a simple blueprint. And in the blueprint, I have some argument, some parameter here, name and age. Okay, let's say this is my blueprint. So that is why I'm putting my name and my age. Okay, let's say. And here, this is the function here. So here I'm using self parameter so that the object can access my name and can access my age. Okay, for example, if I remove self here, you will see if I remove self here, same as I can remove self from here and self from here. Okay, let me call the function here. Now, you will see error here. Person one function takes two position arguments. One, yeah, you can see the error here. Two position arguments, but three were given. Okay, so there's an error here. Like this code will never execute, never. Why? Because here we are not using self. Now, what is the purpose of self? Self is mainly for, let's say I'm the builder here. Okay, I am this object too. I just wanted to access name and age from your blueprint. Okay, in the blueprint, you have your name and you have your age. Now, as a builder, I should know that what is your name and what is your age. That is very important. So, as a builder, I should know what is your name. So, how I can access your name and how I can access your age. Let's say I'm the builder and I am asking your name and I'm asking your age. So, that particular asking is coming from the self here. Self. So, by putting the self, I can access the name, I can access the age within your class. That is the main purpose of the self. Without self, you cannot access any elements of the class with the help of object. So, and that is why we have to put here self dot name. It is like we are providing a access mechanism. Okay, name here and self dot age. Okay, let's say I'm the architecture. Okay, and you are creating the house. Okay, you are the builder here. So now you wanted to access my name. Okay, you want to ask my name and you want to ask my age. Then only you can start your work. So that is why you want to access my properties like my name, my age, my how many rooms I want to create, how many like what kind of color I want to use for my house. Okay, that you want to ask from me. So that asking is coming from the self. Okay, so whenever you are putting self, the object is asking name and age from the class, which means the object can access the name, age, rooms, and this colors, functions, etc. from the class. He or she can, object can easily access the properties, the functions, the methods from the class. Without self, we cannot. Okay, that is why self.name, we are just putting name here. Self.age, we are putting age here. And then when we want to use name, we can put self.name. Same as we want to use age, self.age, like this one. Now I can run, it will easily run. You can see, hello, my name is John and I am 44. Okay, simple. So without self, we cannot access, like object cannot access any kind of properties, any kind of method from the class. That is why self is important. Let's say there's another method here, another parameter here. Let's say color, or let's say language. Okay, language. And here I can put here self dot language equal language. Why I'm putting language here, like self dot name, self dot age? Because I just want to recognize my name should be recognized within the class that there's something name here. Okay, so with the self name, we are recognizing the name. With the self dot age, we are recognizing the age. And with the help of self dot language, we are identifying the language. Like there's some name parameter, there's some age parameter, there's some language parameter within the class. So with the help of self, we are just identifying that particular name only. Okay. Then we can also put here another line here, let's say, and language is, we can put self dot language. And here we can put another argument, let's say English. Okay, if I run this one, you will notice, hello, my name is John, 44, and language is English. So I
Mhm.
can now access name, I can access age, I can access language from the class with the help of self parameter. That is why self is way more important. Okay. So is there any other definition? Yeah. There's another definition. The self parameter is a reference to the current instance of the class. And it is used, it is not mean, yeah. And it is used to access the variables that belongs to the class. That is important. It is used to access the elements that belongs to the class. And there's one more thing. It is not compulsory to put self as a self. You can put any number here, any name here. Let's say I'm putting here apple. Now same as you have to put apple here as well. Apple dot name. Same as you can put apple dot age. Same as you have to put apple dot language. Same as you have to put here apple dot name, apple dot age, and apple dot language. So this will also work. No problem. This will also work. So self is just a parameter. It is like another parameter which is given by the developers. You can put any number here, apple, banana, any name here. You can put your name also, but make sure you have to use that same name again and again, like apple.name, apple.age, apple.language, and then this apple.name, age. Same, you have to use the same parameter again and again. But why we use
Mhm.
self? Because self is a recognized parameter. Every developer use self. Okay, no one uses apple or any other name. Every person uses self. Okay, so let's say if you are writing any another name, let's say apple, and let's say you are sharing your code to me, so it will it would be very difficult to read apple. Okay, because apple, I know that you are using self, sorry, you are using apple in place of self, but again it is very difficult to understand. Okay, maybe it is easy to me, but it is not easy to any other user, any other developer. So that is why we use a practice, we follow a practice using by writing self only. That is why we use self everywhere. Otherwise, you can also use any other like vertical. Like for example, my silly object. You can use anything, any name here. My silly object, my silly cat, and so on. You can use any uh parameter here, but you have to use that parameter again and again whenever you are accessing that. Okay, so that is why self is important. And again, self is a just a name. You can put any name in place of self, but make sure you have to use that name again and again. But many developer uses self only. You will find self everywhere, not any other keyword. So that is why always
Mhm.
practice self, not any other keyword. Is it clear this much? Okay, self. So this is all about init function and self parameter. Now, we can also delete the properties. For example, we can delete the properties also, we can modify, we can delete the objects also, and we can delete the properties also. For example, let's say, let me create another class. Let's say we have this class of, again, house. Okay, sorry. And then we have this class house, and then here we have this rooms equal 5, and then with this color equal red. Simple, simple class. Here it is not compulsory to use self because we can use self only whenever we are using inside methods. Okay, here it is not compulsory to use self because these are simple variables. Then we can use object 1 equal house, and then we can print object 1 dot rooms. Same as we can print object 1 dot color. So we have this 5 and red. Let's say I just want to modify the color. I can just name here object one dot color equal blue. I can modify also. You can see blue now in place of red. Okay. I can also delete color. Let's say I just want to object one dot color. Okay, I just put here del here. Del. Now it will throw an error. Why error? Because the object color has been deleted. So if I run this one, you will see house object has no attribute color because I have deleted the color object here and then I am printing again. If I have deleted, so how I can print it? So that is why it is throwing the error. Same as I can put here, I can delete the object itself. I can delete the whole object like this one. So this will throw the error again. That object one is not defined because I have deleted the object. So we can also delete the properties. We can delete the object itself. Okay, it is very simple. And if you want to create a class, let's say you are creating any class, let's say my class. And let's say you are not sure what to write. So you can pass here. You can use pass here, just like functions. When we create function and we are not sure that what to write, we can use pass here. And if you even try to create a object, it will not throw the error. Okay, so if I run this one, you will see no error at all here because the my class and pass here because here we have this pass. We don't have anything inside class, but we cannot leave this empty. Okay, this will throw the error. So that is why if you are not sure what to write, you can use pass here and you can fill it later on. Is it clear this much? Any questions?
Yes, teacher.
Okay, so we have covered the classes and objects and we have covered the file operations. Now classes and objects, it is like a very basic.
Okay. So,
Just a second. Yeah. So with this now classes and objects is the basics of OOPS concept, which we have discussed, object oriented programming language. It is like the basic, like we can say the fundamentals of OOPS. So here I can write classes and objects are the fundamentals of OOPS. In the OOPS, we have many things. Okay, like in the OOPS, we have inheritance, we have abstractions, we have modular programming, we have data hiding, and so on. So we have many other parts, polymorphism in the OOPS concept. So classes and objects are like the fundamentals of OOPS. In the OOPS, we have many other like parts that we will discuss in the advanced Python. That is the part of your advanced Python. Okay. For the basics, classes and objects are important. So make sure to like revise these concepts because these are the fundamentals of the advanced level part, which we will going to discuss in the advanced Python. So these are very
Yes.
important. Okay. So any questions up to here?
No, teacher.
Okay. I will provide the questions on file operations and object or and this classes and objects. Okay, try
Yes,
to
teacher.
solve it. Okay, just try it. If you are not like able to, then it's okay. You can leave that question. Okay, you can move
Yes.
to another question.
Yes,
And
teacher.
whatever the question, whatever the answers you are writing, please share it to me so that I can review it. Okay, I can check out your questions or your answers.
Yeah.
And tomorrow we will discuss the remaining concepts, which are 3 concepts are remaining, and then we will complete the Python core. After the Python core, we will solve all the questions which I have provided to you. Okay, like from the beginning, like from the functions, classes and objects, file operations, and strings, tuples, list, and dictionary. We will solve all the questions. Okay, which means we have this week only. In this week, in the next week, you can solve all your questions, and then you can share it with me. And in the next weekend, we will solve all the answers.
Okay, teacher.
So rest, we will continue tomorrow, and by tomorrow hopefully we will complete the Python code. Okay.
Okay, teacher.
And make
Thank
sure
you
to
very
revise
much.
the concept.
Yes, thank you. You're welcome, teacher.